a very different direction. It just appealed to different people in different ways. So I think that we would love for players from EQ1 and EQ2 to obviously try out any of the games that we have come out. But I think that the diversity in the games that we have, if we have a game that suits people that want a more hardcore experience, and then we have a game that I mean, Clone Wars is a good example, but we have other games in Free Realms that is more of a casual experience, it seems like that's a good thing for everyone.
So we're going to keep those games running, period. And until they're not economically viable, but that's not in any plan we've ever written. So, hope your question is answered now.
I thought one of the coolest things about the original EverQuest was your slow introduction of new races and, oh my gosh, there's a new class coming out. That was always kind of cool. What's coming next? Of course, you were making it up as you went along. EverQuest 2, boom, everything was there. Nothing's really changed in that sense other than new lands or new islands that built up. But just the introduction of, new races. Oh, there's a new race. Now I'm going to start over and try this race. Or, oh, there's a new class. Try that. That was kind of cool.
With the new artwork and the new screenshots that you're showing, I see a lot of the potential for a lot of ambitious effects and graphics. When EverQuest and EverQuest 2 were created, the computing industry and the desktop industry kind of took a strange turn and started going multi-core, and the GPUs became very, very powerful, and the scalability of the game engines didn't quite turn with them. Is the plans for the next game to take advantage of current technology and be more scalable in terms of taking advantage of the hardware and being able to allow the players to really take advantage of the performance of the platforms that they're running on?
So I'm a programmer by training, well, my own training actually, been programming since I was 18, so this is near and dear to my heart. We are absolutely making this one more scalable. EverQuest 2 did not achieve that goal. It was it pushed the boundaries of technology, but didn't show much for it. And only now is it doing that. And we have the right team on there, and it's just starting to do that. I'm real proud of what the team's done. This game, completely different story. Whole different graphics engine. You'll be able to play this thing on laptops with a lot lower graphics options, and you'll be able to play it on, like I run on a 5970 rig with, did I say that? I mean NVIDIA. I love NVIDIA.
Well done. There's a video camera.
I'm running a real high-end rig myself right now, and I play a lot of games that require pretty high-end stuff, Call of Duty, those kind of games, and we want graphics cards that are coming out when this thing comes out. We want you to be able to take full advantage of that. So scalability is job one of this graphics engine, actually. So, and also for those of you, and I've read some things, and I don't know where people get this from. People think that because we made Free Realms, that this game is somehow going to be like Free Realms, going to be for kids. It's not. This game is in no way being made for kids, and you can see from these screenshots. We've got some. When you're in a swamp like Inniswool, you're in a pretty scary environment. We want to keep it scary. So the graphics options will go from low end to high end. We will make sure it looks damn good on a high end machine, and then it runs well on a low end machine and still looks good. We've learned our lessons on that.
When I first started playing EverQuest, I thought it was fantastic. I was looking around and wandering around. So I'm one of those players that doesn't always take advantage of all the teleportation and everything else. I'm also one of those quote-unquote casual players that the raiders and the elite players all spit on and try to make their lives harder. They do. I don't know why, but they do. And what I would like to see is a little bit of opportunities for people that don't want to rush towards the end game because for some reason everybody loves the end game. I don't like the end game. I've got one character, well, I've got 4 characters that are up to their trade skill level cap, but I only have 1 character at adventuring level cap. And I would like to see some more, like, slow progress stuff kind of rewarded, more of our role-playing. We joined the game originally because we were a bunch of role players. And we tried role-playing in EverQuest, and eventually we just went right back to the chat programs to actually role-play, because the game is not conducive towards role-playing, and especially EverQuest 2. EverQuest 1, there were a lot more non-tangible rewards for slowly going through everything and reading all the stories, and you know, we know some things that a lot of people that rush to endgame don't know, but there's no reward for them. We've got a rush to endgame guy in our guild, and we were showing him some of the stuff, and he's like, "Whoa, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that?" We'd like more casual and slow player rewards. I don't care if it takes me a year or 5 years to get to level 90, but I'd like there to be less focus on getting to the end game and getting these pieces of loot. I'd like there to be some more subtle things in the game that are rewards that make me quote-unquote casual player, because I'm not actually a casual player. My spouse is a casual player and logs in maybe once a week and does some harvesting and gets away. So I'd like to see a lot more slow player rewards. I know that sounds really weird, but people that like to go through the entire game and do all the lore and not have to be level capped to do it. Because we don't get to level cap, we don't like it.
So one of the things that I think works out well is, we've got people on the team. So for myself, like, I like to solo. I play small groups. When I don't, unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of saying like, hey, I'm going to be available for a hardcore raid from 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock, and I can just commit to that. So when I get on, I play when I can. There's some nights and weekends where I can play all night, all weekend, but that's more rare. On my designer side, though, guys that have been balancing hardcore raids and things like that in the live games, they have a completely different perspective on it. So it's worked out well, because we get into some really creative conversations where, I'm talking about things like you just mentioned, where it's like, hey, I want to make sure that every time I play, I'm getting a reward that makes me want to kind of come back in, as opposed to I've got to make a massive commitment every time with 25 to 50 people, and if I don't do that, or if I don't play my role exactly the right way, I'm going to get kicked out of my group or guild, and then it's just no fun. So.
What Clint is saying too, especially focusing on being able to like jump in for shorter times and get rewards, that actually is a pretty big focus on the content side of things, even to the point where giving a little bit away will actually be showing like estimated time frames for your level to do certain things. So you can jump on and say, hey, this will take 15 minutes, we'll go ahead and do this and be out in half an hour. So it's definitely one of our focuses on the content side of things. Just letting you know.
I've been playing EQ since '99 when my dad brought it home, and then I went to EQ2, and I really enjoy EQ2, but it's those memories from EQ1 that keep me playing in the EverQuest 2 series. That first Crush Bone group and killing Divin, waiting in line for the ice giants and getting their fat loot. And it's just, I tell my dad all the time, I would go back to EQ1 any day if, the graphics were of EQ2, but I gotta say, take it back to the basics. My druid in EQ1 had 7 spell gems. In EQ2, I got like 50 hot bars. Make it simpler, take down the classes, and just, be an overall enjoyable experience. And I think a lot of your player base will embrace that.
One comment on that. So I'm probably a little before your time on this front. I was Dungeons and Dragons player, and for many years, my memories that you have from EverQuest 1, I have from Dungeons and Dragons. That's kind of, I can, all my characters today one of my D&D characters back then. Something that I find interesting is a lot of the people that play EverQuest, their strongest memories are from EQ1, the kind of things that you're talking about. Our job is to make you, when you play our new games, make those experiences every bit as vivid and strong. I will say, though, that your first memories and these things are always going to be the strongest. What we want is to make new ones that are just as cool or cooler, in that, 10 years from now, you're talking about those memories. And, you're still remembering back in the day. And yesterday we got a lot of comments about like corpse runs and things along those lines. We all have those fond memories. And we're really going to make sure that this game is even stronger positive memories than these. But they're still going to be your first ones. We'll never be able to. You'll always remember your first. Just about anything.
The question I have for you this time is, in the first EverQuest, originally we didn't get a lot of God interaction at the very beginning, I didn't think. And I was wondering, if we would be able to have a little bit more of our God interaction, let's say with Nathaniel Marr, Praxis, those kind of things. We had quests and things we could do, but there wasn't anything really specific to them, and we didn't beat them until really Flames of Power. And then again, we were killing our own gods, so it kind of seemed kind of weird to me. But, I love the expansion. So my question is that are we going to see people like Praxis, Nameless, things like that really started? Of course, Nameless is the biggest one of all. And I'm just curious if we'll see some more things like that in this expansion.
I think you will, but maybe some of those bigger names you're talking about won't show up for a long time. I think there's going to be more of a hierarchy. When the original one came out, like all the gods were sort of up there, and if you ever saw a god, it was crazy amazing, and you were super stoked about fighting or whatever. I think there'll be a lot more interaction on the lower level with some of the sub-deities and things like that, and some of the other guys will have that same sort of feeling you got when you first rolled into Fear and Hate, and there was Kazakul. Those guys will probably still be a little bit more standoffish, but I think there will be more interaction with some of the other deities and things like that. We're trying to kind of go for still have that grand approach to the gods, but sort of have the Greek mythology thing where they could show up at any time, and you might be talking to Zeus, the guy with the cloak type situations. So,
I've been playing EverQuest since '99 as well. One of the things I think that has detracted from the game, even though it's a great user convenience, is the ease of getting around inside your big world. Back in the day, just running a few zones to get to the Druid portal just so you could get picked up and teleported across the world meant a lot more to me than now finding a plane of knowledge tome to click on and then being able to get anywhere and to span 2 zones. With the exception of hard raid content, it feels a lot less adventuresome. And as you roll out a brave new world, it's a lot like our old one. I would hope that I'd still see an occasional set of wizard spires or druid stones, but that the simple ways for everybody to get around aren't there. So I actually have to learn and experience these places rather than teleport by them.
You don't realize how tough that is for us, like you said. Because if you ask my son, I actually see my daughter way back there, so I'm assuming my son is not too far. If you ask my son, who's 15, he will give you a completely different answer to that. So our challenge is to keep faith with what you said. And if you ask me, I would like to walk everyone through the kind of gamer that I am. I want to explore every single inch of the world. I want to read all the world text and never turn fast text on. I love that. There are different gamers catering to them so that we can attract. When we talk about attracting a mass base, that's of course what we want. Of course we would like to have 100 million players in this thing. But we got to make EverQuest its own thing and not a watered down amalgam of every MMO. That's not our goal. But I just want to point out to you, it is hard to balance that between the different. These guys do a terrific job of having to walk that line.
I understand a little better. Many vendors don't start
I'm with you very strongly.
Yeah, you're going to definitely run into content along the way when you're traveling that world. I think really what you're talking about is not necessarily travel times and things like that, distances. It's more of the feeling that you're in a giant world, and we're definitely trying to keep that and still have some of those conveniences of I don't want to have to wait 15 minutes to meet up with my friends and actually start doing something useful. So we are really trying to balance those out. But I think what you're talking about is more about having the scope of the world feel really big and feel epic. I hate using that word now because it's so overplayed, but we're really trying to get that giant world of, fantasy world feeling and have some of the conveniences that fast travel really help with. So.
I'll jump right back on the same topic again. And the difference is, I think, that EQ1, we used, it was immersive, it was giant, it was, the scope was grand, everything was great. You could go, like you said, 3 or 4 zones just to get to someone. That made it the closest thing to real we have. Now you're looking at your competition, and I understand, you talk about balancing the player interests and trying to keep as many people happy as you can. But the truth of the matter is there are dozens of MMOs now, and they're coming out with more and more every year, and every single one of them is all about the instant gratification. A lot of the free-to-play systems, that's instant gratification to a whole new level, really, and just buy it. The thing that made EQ, and the reason you have, years and years later, the same fanatical support is because it was its own beast. It was its own thing. And you've got a lot of really good talent up on that podium, a lot of people that have that EQ1 experience. And me personally, I'm hoping that this will be what EQ2 should have been.
You're taking, just out of curiosity, how many in this room are EverQuest 1 players? How many are EQ2 players? EQ2 players, how many of you want us to put corpse runs in the game? More than I thought, actually. It's a very interesting problem that we have here because it isn't the competition that we're so worried about. It's actually the user base, and what their tastes are. I remember the discussions. It was like a food fight when we were talking about corpse runs in EverQuest 2. Brad was there. Hell yes, we need them. Now, keep in mind, we didn't know World of Warcraft was even coming when we first started making that thing. So the fun factor, even in our own user base, some people like it, some people don't. Some people's fondest memories are other people's worst nightmares. And so these guys have just a really tough job here, and we're trying to keep our own identity and not just checkbox of features. That's not what we're trying to do, and we're very respectful of that. We're just trying to figure out our own way.
One of the things that we found really interesting early on was when we started doing some brainstorming about just keeping the identity, what is the EverQuest identity and things like that. We all started talking about our experiences with EverQuest, and the majority of them were with EverQuest 1. And it was interesting to me that the majority of the, wasn't that an awesome experience, were really negative experiences. They were wasn't it awesome when someone tricked you to walk into the tree in Blackborough and you fell to the bottom?